Hello, everyone. Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are watching this video. We are back again with more on using ServiceNow UI Builder to build out cool stuff. Now, your girl couldn't be on camera today because I'm a little bit sick, but that's fine because what we're going to be building out in our landing page in UI Builder today is going to be so awesome. Now, in this video, what we're going to be doing is adding more visualizations and additional plus advanced functionality to our landing page within our custom workspace. If you haven't watched the last video, we went into building and creating our custom workspace in UI Builder. We were able to add a landing page, a list page, add site navigations, and all of that cool stuff. And in this video, we're going to be building on top of our landing page. So what are we going to be adding on this landing page? We're going to be adding a button component, and on click of this button component will open a popover. And a popover in UI Builder is pretty simple. It's basically like a dialogue that a user has to interact with. And this popover would have a select component, which this select component would have a list of some of the core ITSM tables. And based on the table the user selects, a model will open up. A model is also another dialogue that a user has to interact with before they can go back to the actual page. So this model will prompt the user to be able to create a new form or a new record based on the table they selected. And we're also going to be adding data visualization. We're going to be adding a pie chart, which will make filtering on a problem list. I'm using a problem list for this use case, but you can use any table list of your choice, but it will allow agents to easily filter on the problem list within the landing page as well. Now, I know I said a lot of talking, but this is about to be so cool. So let's go into UI Builder and let's start building. Now, I am in the home page, or we will say the landing page of our custom workspace. To get to this page, builder on the All Navigator, and it's under the Now Experience framework. Select it, click on the custom workspace, and click on the home page within the custom workspace. Also, FYI, guys, let's just ignore this little timer thing going for my recorder. Your girl doesn't have advanced camera videotaping technology, so we're just gonna use what we got for now. I'm gonna do the best with what I got.
I'll do the best I can with what I got. Oh!
Anyways, let's get to building. So let's go ahead and add our pie chart and button component. We're adding our pie chart because that is the data visualization, which will allow us to filter on the problem list. And we're adding a button component, which on click of this button component would open up our popover dialog. So let's go ahead. So to do that, I'm going to click on add content and select the 2-column layout. Perfect. And then under column 1, add content, I'm going to search up data visualization, click on it. And then under column 2, I'm going to click on add content and select the button component. Perfect. So now let's click on save. Now let's go ahead. We navigate back to our data visualization. It's always important. It is best practice to name your components. It's easier to read and all that good stuff. So I'm going to name this pie chart because that's what the stuff is going to be. And thank you, UI Builder, for just automatically populating this. We used to have to manually write the component ID in the past. So shout out to you guys. Shout out to ServiceNow. So click on apply. And then under data visualization type, we're going to switch this to pie. Click on save, and then under data source, this will define the table we're going to filter on. It's going to be problem. Click on it and click on add this source. Nice. And then under the group by, how do we want our pie chart to be grouped? We're going to group it by state. you know, something easy. Click on apply and then save. I'm gonna add some extra stuff. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. I'm just gonna add the legend value, show legend percentage. This is just extra. Show daily labels. Okay, cool. So now on the styles tab, we are going to make this a little bit smaller. So I'm going to set my width to 100% and then set my height to 250 and save it. Oh, that is too small. You know what? Let's go back here and remove some of the stuff we put. Let me see. Yeah, that made it a little bigger. Let's see. You can make this pie chart bigger if you want, but I like how it looks, so I'm going to keep it that way. And now I'm going to navigate back to column 1 because if we notice, let's click on the preview. If we notice, it has this little border, which I don't want. So I'm going to remove that. So I'm going to click on column 1. And then I'm going to first set my align items to center and justify content to center as well. Save. And then on the border, I'm going to click on the border. I'm going to set my thickness to none and also my type to none as well. Once again, guys, just ignore this little thing right here. Okay, let's just pretend we don't see it. Then I'm going to save this and then go back to my pie chart and do the same thing. On the pie chart, I'm going to click on configure and then under header and border, I'm going to unclick show border. We don't necessarily have a header, so we can keep this or unclick it. It's really up to you. Click on save, and then I think we're done with this one for now. So now let's move to our button component. First, for my button, what I'm going to do is I'm also going to remove the border around my button column, this column 2. I'm going to remove the border around it. So I'm going to click on border and also set the thickness on this to none and also the type to none as well. And save that. Now on my button, I'm going to set a few things so we can make it look a little prettier. So I'm going to change the label because the label has to match our use case. This would be create new record. Perfect. I'm going to change the size to large and then variant. Let's see what we got here. Oh, this is cute. I like it. So we're going to also add an icon as well because this is iconic. Which one do we want today? This, I guess. Okay, then we can save this. Now we need to go to the styles tab because I want this button component a little bit further to the right. I don't want it too close to this pie chart. I don't like it. I think that's ugly. So on the styles tab, you can set the styling right here, but I'm just going to use this edit CSS property because there's a few things I would like to add. So let's go ahead and edit the CSS. Okay, we have set our CSS on our button and now it looks a little bigger, but it's not to where the position I want it to be yet. So we would need to navigate to column 2, set our align items to flex end and the justify content to flex start, which already is. I think this looks better. What do you think? Let's preview it. Okay, this doesn't look too bad, right? Doesn't look too bad. So we're done with our button component for now. So now, what's next for us to do? We need to create the model and the popover. So the model, we'll be creating a custom model that will allow us to create a new record. And then we'll be creating a custom popover that would allow us to store, it would have a select component that will allow us to store our core ITSM tables. So let's start with the model. So under overlays, we have models, we have modeless dialogues, and we have popovers. So we're going to first start with the models. Click on the plus sign and click on custom. We're just gonna name this custom form opener, I guess, and then save. And then under header 2, we're gonna click on add content, and we're gonna add the form component because we want the creation of a new form, right? Okay, we're gonna select configure manually. You guys, I don't know why my laptop is acting slow. So strange. Is it my laptop acting slow, or is it ServiceNow acting slow? So we're just gonna exit this dialog for now. This is an example of a model dialog that we just saw, by the way. So now that we've added our form, we are going to add, I know I said it's best practice. So I think this component label for our form component is fine. So we're gonna leave it as is. And then under our body, we're gonna click on add content, and then we're gonna select the action bar component and save it. This action bar is basically the save button. We're gonna change the name to save button so it's easier, or we're gonna say save action so it's easier for us to remember. Click on apply and save again. We're gonna add an event to this action bar component. Basically, there's a UI action selected event. I just noticed that I'm saying so many times, so I'm gonna add a count right now for how many times I bet I'm gonna say because this is interesting. Okay, so we have a UI action selected event already. We're just gonna need to add a handler, and the handler we're gonna add is the open or close modal dialog handler. So basically what we're gonna say is we're gonna select our custom model we created, the custom form opener, and then we're gonna uncheck this open modal dialog property because we're saying that whenever the user clicks this save action or this action bar, it should close out the modal dialog. Then we're gonna click on add, save that. So we're kind of done with our model for now. And now let's create our popover. So under popovers, we're gonna click on the plus sign and click on custom popover. Remember, this popover is going to have a select component, which we'll see in a second, that would have the core, some of our core ITSM tables for the user to be able to select in order to create a new form or new record based on the table they selected. So under custom popover 1, let's change the name. What should the name be? I don't know. You know what? I'm just going to leave it like that. So let's click on add content, and we're going to click the select component and add it. Perfect. So this select component, we're just going to rename it to select tables. You guys, my laptop is acting extremely slow. Select tables, click on apply, click on save. Make sure we're always saving our stuff. Now for this list item property, we need to edit it so we can have it store our list of ITSM tables that we want. But I don't know if this is a ServiceNow UI Builder bug, but we're not able to just do it this manual way where we just set the ID and label. We have to switch the mode to JSON and change this. So that's exactly what I'm going to do right now. So what I'm going to do is basically just clear all of this out. Now let's set our stuff. So it's going to be and now we can just click on apply, and voila, perfect. We're going to click on save. And now if we preview, wait, let's not preview this yet. So I'm going to basically create an event on this button component that says whenever this button is clicked, we want this popover to display. So let's do that. I'm going to go back to my button component right here and then go to events. So we already have this event mapping. Click on add handler and search for popover, open popover, continue. We're going to select the popover we just created, which is this one, and add it. Perfect. You guys, oh, my laptop is being so slow. So actually, let me clear my UI Builder cache. Now let's preview it so we can see what that looks like. If I click on create a new record, here we have the popover that we created. And when I click it, it has the list of core ITSM tables that we defined. Isn't that awesome? That's awesome. We're awesome. So let's keep building. So now what did we say? We said that once a user, let's go back to preview because I'm a visual person when I explain. So once the user selects this create new record, they should be able to select any of these tables, and based on what they select, a model should pop up, prompting them to be able to create a new form or a new record based on the table they selected, right? So what do we need to do for that? We've already defined our model. We created a custom model, but now we need to create client state parameter and a client script. We're creating a client state parameter to hold the table and sysid values for our new form. We're holding these in order for us to bind it to our form controller that is embedded with this form component in our custom model. So we're going to bind the client state parameter that we're going to create to this form controller table and sysid properties in order to tell UI Builder the values to pass to these properties in order for it to show a new record. And then we're going to create a client script to add. So we're going to also create a client script. So we're telling UI Builder the payload it needs to pass to the client state parameter that's binded to our table in sysid. So first, let's start by creating the client state parameters. Now I'm going to bind it to my form controller. And let me explain why we're doing this, guys. The reason why we're doing this is because right now, the way our property for our table and sysid within this form controller is defined is the task table. So this is not dynamic. That means whenever this model opens up or pops up, the user will only be able to create task records. But we want this to be dynamic based on the user selection, right? Based on what the user selects. So we're going to bind this. So that's why we're doing this, to make this dynamic and tell UI Builder what payload it needs to pass in order for it to create the record based on user selection. So we're going to say new record -1. This is going to tell it that it needs to be a new record. And then save this and exit out of this model dialog. And now we're going to create a client script. Click on the plus sign. It's always important, guys, for you to name your client scripts so people can get a general idea of what it is. This name is going to be I don't even know what I should name it. Table search. You guys, I'm out of naming ideas today. I'm just naming whatever, but yeah, we're just gonna leave it like this. I don't know. So now let's define our client script. Guys, Actually, before we define the client script, let me change the name because the name does suck. It's kind of bothering me. I'm gonna say past table selection. I think that's better, right? Okay, so now let's define our client script. So it's gonna be on apply and save. Now we're going to set this client state parameter value. And in order for us to do that, let's go back to our select component and navigate to events. So based on items selected, we're going to say based on whatever table they select, we're going to set the client state parameter, which passes the payload to the binded properties in the form controller. Okay, so the client state parameter, we're going to select the selected table, and value to use after triggering event is going to be event payload.value. Select apply and click on add and click on save. Congratulations. So we need to add one more event because we said based on the popover, based on the selection, this popover should open up a model. So, or the selected component within the popover based on the selection will open up a model. Okay, so we're going to click on add handler again, and we're going to search for the keyword model. I hope I'm saying this right, guys, and if I'm not, sorry. Open or close model dialog, continue, and the model we're going to click is the one we created, the custom form opener, and we're going to leave this checked because we're saying when they click on it, the model dialog should open up. So we're going to click on add and save. Now let's see what we're working with. If we click on preview, let's see what happens. Okay, so create new record, label the popover. Nice. So I'm gonna click on problem. Perfect. This opens up my model for me to create a new problem record. Nice. This looks good so far. What do you think? So now let's keep going. Now we're going to add a list component because we created this data visualization so users can be able to filter on a list component. So we're going to click on add content, select the single column layout, and within the single column layout, column 1, click on add content and search for list and click on record list and then add on save. So remember, best practice to change this up, but we're going to go ahead and set this list controller table property to problem. Save it, exit out of the model dialog. Okay guys, we need to create another client state parameter and client script specifically for our filtering. We're creating another client state parameter to store our state values. So these state values for our problem state values will be stored, and we'll be binding it to the edit filter property on this list controller, which is this. We're going to be binding our client state parameter to this. And we're creating a client script to allow the filtering of the list component based on what the user clicks on the pie chart. So we're telling this client script, hey, based on what this user clicks on this pie chart, we want you to edit the list component, and we'll be adding this client script to an event within this pie chart component, because in order for this client script to trigger, it has to be connected to an event. So let's go ahead and create our client state parameter. I am going to call this list filter, and I'm going to set the value to 1. Now I'm going to click on my list controller and I'm going to scroll to the edit filter property and bind it to the client state I just created. Now, the reason why we are not using the edit fixed filter is because if we are utilizing edit fixed filter, it would not be able to filter on other states. It would only allow you to filter on one specific state. So it doesn't make it dynamic. I think you would only use this if you're trying to only allow it filter on one. If you're trying to have a non-changing filter, like a fixed filter, basically. Yeah, so we bind this to the default filter so we're able to filter the list based on different states. And then we're going to click on save. And now we have to create our client state parameter that would allow for the actual filtering. We're going to change this to filtered list. So now let's define our client state parameter. And then in order for this client script we just created to trigger, we're going to bind it to our pie chart. We're going to click on events, navigate to your pie chart component, your data visualization component, and then under events, we have this visualization clicked event mapping. Then we're going to click on add handler. Now handler would be our client script. I'm talking so fast because I'm getting so excited because we're almost done and I just feel like we've done such a good job so far and I'm just so excited to see everything. Okay, filtered list, click on continue and click on add and we save that and we're done. So let's preview what we did so far. What we did, because not so far because we're done. This is our new custom workspace. Look at how it looks. Isn't it so pretty, guys? We're missing the side navigation because I removed it. But if we click on our button, on click of the button shows a popover like we wanted. And based on what the user selects, let's say they want to click create a new task record. A model opens up for a new task record to be created. Let's say they're like, actually, never mind. I want an incident record to be created. They can easily create one from here. I'm actually going to create one so we can see that it actually freaking works. I'm so excited. So we click on the save your action, that action bar, remember? And we also have this little filter here, which allows us to filter based on problem states. We see our list changing based on the filter. Oh my god, this is awesome, guys. This looks so cool. Navigate to incident and see if it was created. Yes, it was. Look at that. Isn't this so cool? Oh my god, if you guys stayed so far, I just want to say how awesome it was. In our landing page, we now have a data visualization, a button that opens up a popover, and a model at the same time. So thank you guys if you got this far. In the description, I will be adding a few extra, advancements you want to make to this. Like, let's say we want users to be able to create from any record in the system. Like, how would we do that? How would we change this logic that's within this button component? And let's say we wanted to change the styling as well, like add something within the image component or add more data visualizations. Like, how would we do that? So I would add a few use cases within the description and the documentations to go with those as well for us to explore and build more on our landing page. So thank you guys for rocking and staying throughout the whole video. I hope you were able to learn something. In our next video, we're still going to be expanding on this while also adding a few more pages to our custom workspace. So I hope to see you in the next video, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye.